all right, this is just a note to self, as they always are. I don't think that this advice is really reinventing the wheel. This is just a timestamp. So one day I can look back and think, wow, I've gotten so much smarter and I'm not dealing with this anymore. These feelings, this friction internally, right? So sometimes we go through stuff, right? And it sucks. And sometimes it takes us days, weeks, months to get over, hours. You never know. But what I find myself falling into is this idea that the world has a responsibility to help me through this. That if the outside world was just perfect, this wouldn't hurt. Which, spoiler alert, it would. Because the pain from a situation has nothing to do with anything else. It's just you and that. That's it. It's like one of those, cans with a string between it. The only thing communicating the pain to you is that situation. But sometimes we look around and think, well, if the world would just rally and cheer me up, I'd be fine. And maybe it would make the healing process easier to feel more supported, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But we sometimes find ourselves in very, very deep generalizations, don't we? Where one or two people will not exactly react how we'd, I don't want to say fantasized, but just assumed, right? And maybe it's just not to the degree, or they're completely absent, or they just say the complete wrong thing. All good. And one or two people do that, and we make this huge, huge generalization that no one cares, and no one's taking care of us, and no one cares about our feelings, blah, 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 blah. So what I did to take a crowbar into my stupid little brain and crank that thought process out of it was actually really simple. I took a journal, which is not on me right now. This is a watercolor book, but let's pretend this is my journal. And I flipped to a page, a blank one, and I took a pen and I wrote down people who care. Simple. And then I started writing a couple names of people that called, people that asked me directly, how are you doing? People who, in their own sideways way, just showed they care. They might not have directly asked about the thing, but they were just hitting me up a little bit extra, more than they usually do. They're usually not that free on Fridays, but suddenly they're texting me saying, hey, what are you saying this Friday? And I started writing names down. And there's a really funny little seesaw to do with this, because I started getting momentum. I was like, damn, a lot of people showed up. People from work, whatever. And just random people. And sometimes, you might look at that list and be like, damn, but I wish this person, or I wish that person. There's always going to be something wrong. There's always a part of your brain that looks at something great and sweet and nice and just doesn't let you enjoy it and says, yeah, but we're just going to volume down on that one, right? Because there's so much gratitude and joy that you can get. Sorry, computer was dimming itself because I'm talking for too long. Water's wet, the sky's blue. There's so much gratitude you can get from seeing all the people that showed you love and support through something, and getting to look at that and be like, wow, that's awesome. And I think it's these simple little things, because we never skip a beat to complain. We never skip a beat to notice the bad stuff. Even when you're looking at the list, be like, but what about maybe your sibling or whatever, or your uncle that usually cares about your stuff just didn't care. I don't know. You're looking at this list and you're like, damn, people actually do care. So your gross generalization is completely null and void. Because look at this, in black and white, how many people care about you? And the person who vouched for them was you, right? So it seems silly. It seems stupid. It helped me a lot, personally. And then anytime I'd find myself in that way of thinking of no one cares, blah, 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 just that little victim mentality of I am so alone in this big, deep, scary ocean of a world. You get your little lifeboat, get your little lifeboat, And you look at that and you say, I'm wrong. Thank God I'm wrong. Because this is way better than being right about that, right? So it's simple. I don't think you have to write it down, but you can also put it on your wall. I might put it on my wall right after this. I think that'd be lovely. But I was going to say it'd be cool as like a vague list, just like a list of names. Like, what is this? Maybe they're on it. Maybe they're not. It's like, what's this list? Why aren't I on it? Then again, if you're not on the list, you're probably not in my house. But, you know what I'm saying? So, I think that'd be cool. But, regardless. And remember, it's a positive thing. So when you're writing down these names, if you have a bone to pick with somebody that didn't make the list, maybe you can talk yourself through as to like, everyone has their own independent life. It's all good. I'm sure they don't not care about me. Maybe they're just unaware. Depends. I don't know. If you're going through something pretty obvious, that might be a tough sell. If it's something you're suffering in silence, it's highly likely, right? Depends on what you're experiencing. But if you loudly, I don't want to say complain, because I don't want to diminish feelings. And I'm talking to myself right now, because what I think about what I was going through, I wouldn't call it complaining. I would call it expressing sadness. But, you know, slippery slope to victimhood. So I don't even know. I don't even know how to end this. Make your list if you want. I already made my list. I might go out of the list. Maybe a couple people I could be like, oh, that person pulled me aside and said, hey, buddy, I know you're going through all that. I just want you to know. I swear that happened today. It did. I do have somebody out of the list. Very sweet. Anyways, I'm lucky for that. Well, maybe I'll watch this video back in a couple months, and maybe I'll be so much worse off. You never know. Or maybe I'll be like killing it. And I'll be like, what was I writing these lists for when I got my own back? I don't need anyone else to have my back. So that's so like solo mentality. I've never liked it personally. All that like lone wolf stuff. Wolves are interesting animals. I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole. Anyways, bye.